The threats of war escalate in the Middle East as the U.S. military buildup continues. This graphic shows the recent buildup of U.S. air power in the Middle East. The Wall Street Journal reporting, it's the largest in the region since the Iraq War in 2003. In Israel, the IDF Home Front Command has been directed to prepare for full-scale war. Iran is holding joint naval exercises with Russia and the Chinese. The regime is also calling on Hezbollah to join them in the event of a U.S. military strike.
There's many reasons and arguments that one could make for a strike against Iran.
U.S. military officials say they're ready to strike as early as Saturday. Levin reiterated that little progress was made during Wednesday's nuclear talks.
Diplomacy is always his first option, and Iran would be very wise to make a deal with President Trump and with this administration.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth told CBNEWS the decision to strike Iran lies with President Trump.
Should they not follow through on commitments, should they not be willing to make a deal, the president has an option. The only one that will make this decision, well, two people will make this decision. The Iranians can step up and make a real deal, and then ultimately President Trump will decide whether or not it's a deal that's good enough for the American people.
Middle East political analyst Esther Brahm says any deal with Iran should come with reservations. Brahm recently wrote this Times of Israel article titled Built to Deceive, Why Iran Can't Make a Real Deal, where she explains the Iranian Islamic tactic known as taqiyya.
Taqiyya was a survival mechanism. The believer could conceal his faith, conceal his style of life to save his life, to save his property, to save his community.
Brahm says Western diplomacy wants to resolve conflicts. Iranian culture uses to manage it.
It's not like they're lying because they have a purpose to lie. It's just the way how they see the whole process of negotiations.
While U.S. military officials say they're prepared to strike Iran as early as Saturday, President Trump is weighing his options.
So now we may have to take it a step further, or we may not. Maybe we're going to make a deal. Well, you're going to be finding out over the next probably 10 days.
The Wall Street Journal reports that Trump is considering an initial attack on Iran, possibly within days, to force it to meet U.S. nuclear demands. The limited strike options include attacks on nuclear and ballistic missile facilities. If Iran still wouldn't go along, the U.S. could launch a broader military campaign in an effort to potentially overthrow the Islamic government.
The journal also reports that there is still a wide gap with negotiations. Iran is refusing to limit its ballistic missile program and has said that no country can deprive it of its right for nuclear enrichment.
And now is the time for Iran to join us on a path that will complete what we're doing. And if they join us, that'll be great. If they don't join us, that'll be great too. But it'll be a very different path.
If that path results in a full-scale war, a former U.S. Central Command deputy tells the Jerusalem Post, the American military could dismantle Iran's power structure core within hours. Meanwhile, the European Union has formally added Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps to its terrorist list, as Iran warns in this letter to the UN that if attacked, all hostile bases and assets in the region would be considered legitimate targets. The USS Gerald R. Ford is equipped to counter Iranian strikes. The aircraft carrier is expected to be positioned off Israel's coast.
Well, people are looking for clues everywhere as to what happens next when it comes to Iran. Take a listen to this message from Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who addressed the Knesset earlier this afternoon.
We are in very complex and challenging times. You may be downplaying this. Continue. But the people know, and every member of Knesset here knows it. We are in complex and challenging times. No one knows what a day will bring. We are keeping an eye open. We are prepared for any scenario. I have made it clear to the Ayatollah regime, if they make the mistake, perhaps the most difficult in their history, and attack the state of Israel, we will respond with a force they cannot even imagine.
Well, security analyst Jonathan Regev is with me in the studio, and this has been going on for weeks, if not months, hasn't it? Reading between the lines when politicians speak, trying to see what is going on. How should we interpret those comments, do you think, from Prime Minister Netanyahu?
We will probably continue to listen to people speaking for weeks, trying to understand what happens or not. Israel, what we do know is that Israel is on a very, very high level of alert, understanding that a war could start at any minute. But that's it. Do we know? We can assume for now it's not going to happen before Thursday, simply because on Thursday there is another round of talks between Iran and the United States. So probably not before that. If Israel had any other intelligence, it would have probably perhaps delayed the visit of Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India. He's supposed to be here Wednesday and Thursday. So it seems as if it's not going to happen before Thursday. Other than that, I don't know. We don't know. I don't know if anybody knows.
Yeah, well, quite. But it all depends on President Trump, doesn't it? He's the only one that knows.
And we don't know if he knows.
Yeah, true. Strange development inside Iran. Thousands of people apparently received a text message which said in Farsi, President Trump is a man of action, watch this space, something to that effect. Can we imagine this might possibly have been an Israeli cyber attack?
It could be. Anything could be. It could be an Israeli cyber attack. It could be an American attack. We simply don't know. There's so much information and so much misinformation that we don't know what is true and what is not. A lot of going on. The simple facts that we do know is that this whole situation began due to the protests in Iran, which then eventually ended due to the violent crackdown of the regime. And now, for the last 2 or 3 days, we see them rising again. So that may be another factor bringing perhaps a strike closer. But all those are assumptions, maybe guesses. And yes, we're looking for clues all the time. Maybe the extremely big armada, or not just armada, the very large American army, which is in the region, the tankers that we're seeing here in Israel today, all of that may lead to an attack, but may also not lead to an attack. We don't know.
Biggest US military buildup in the region since the Iraq invasion of 2003. So we are talking about a significant military footprint in the region, aren't we? As Israel prepares for war, you say Israel is prepared for any scenario. We are potentially looking at a conflict that would be very different to what we saw with the 12-day war back in June. And this would be a joint Israeli-US mission that could go on for several weeks. That's what a lot of analysts are talking about. Is that what you're hearing as well?
Yes, this is what I'm hearing as well. On behalf of regarding what may happen in Israel, on the one hand, Israel may suffer more than it did back in June, because Iran may have rebuilt even and obtained even more ballistic missiles than it had before the 12-day war in June, and back then the proxies, Hezbollah and the Houthis and others, did not join. Now perhaps they will join, and Iran will throw at Israel everything it has, understanding it may be the final days of the regime. On the other hand, back then in June, Israel was the only target. Now there are many other targets. Israel, in this case, will not be fighting on its own. It will be fighting as part of an American strike. So Iran will have to divide its attention as opposed to what it did in June. Many speculations, and we simply don't know exactly what is going to happen, if it's going to happen, when it's going to happen.
CB News, bringing you world news update. Thank you for watching.